to another Gaspesian Better Living Chat. This is a place to discover and learn, experience and enjoy, and also meet some really interesting people. It's a series of informal conversations and topics that we hope will encourage and inspire us all to be and live well here at home on the Gaspé Coast. Today we get to meet with Cynthia Dow, a person who many of us know living here on the coast. Cynthia was born in Richmond, and many of us know her as a woman who has spent most of her life working, raising awareness, and supporting many of our community's needs. She has been a leader, a spokesperson for many good causes, and I know that in the midst of all her busyness, she has also found her way to enjoy the peace and practice of meditation. So welcome, Cindy. I'm really glad that you're here talking with me today. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thank you very much, Mary. It's actually a pleasure to do this because I love talking about meditation. In many ways, I'm just an ordinary Gaspesian, but I do suffer from generalized anxiety disorder. And I just want to explain a little bit about it because this is why I started to meditate. It's not like being a worrywart. It's kind of normal for people to worry about specific situations in their lives that are troubling them. But anxiety disorder is quite complex. You find yourself worrying about things that seem completely normal, like lining up in the grocery store or the bank, crossing a bridge in your car, being in a crowd. These things start to become quite difficult because of fear. And these irrational fears started to intensify when I turned 18. So it was this all-consuming problem with fear that really drove me to explore meditation and other ways to reduce stress in my life.
And why, so again, meditation has become very important to you then in your life?
I guess it has. I've had a regular practice for 27 years. It'll be 27 years this spring that I meditate every morning. If I don't, for whatever reason, if I get up late and I'm running to get to work or something like that, I try to fit it in later in the day, but I can feel the impact if I don't do it. I can feel that I'm more anxious. I can feel impatient, irritable, probably not quite as nice as I would like to be. But the moment I sit on my cushion in the morning, I just feel so much better. It's like magic. I can feel my body relaxing. I feel lighter. I almost feel like I'm floating because I feel so free of the burden of stress and anxiety.
Wow. So it seems that a meditation has a lot of benefits.
It has an amazing number of benefits, actually. It's when you start to explain it to people, I think sometimes they don't really believe me because it sounds so great. But what meditation does is that it brings us into closer conscious connection with the part of ourselves that never feels fear, the part of ourselves that is always at peace, the part of ourselves that does not fear death or illness or loneliness, that part that's full of peace and joy and the beauty of life. And so it's a way to help us understand that our thoughts are often very negative and destructive. Most of the times in our heads, we're telling ourselves stories that are complete fabrications that have nothing to do with reality. And many of these stories make us suffer more than we have to. Pain and loss and suffering are part of life, but when we concentrate too much on our losses and our fears, we make ourselves suffer much more than we need to do. And so meditation just offers us a pathway out of that by helping us to identify our thoughts and feelings as separate from who we really are. Who we really are is that peace inside. We really are that joy. We really are that feeling of wellness and liberation. And meditation can help us be in touch with that on a regular basis. And it's, as a result, a great way to reduce stress in our lives, a great way to improve our relationships, because when we can be peaceful and balanced in the way we approach life, we can help those around us as well. We can develop compassion for others because we know ourselves how much we make ourselves suffer. Then we can understand that other people, in the way they relate to us, may be working on stories in their minds that have nothing to do with reality. So it's just a great way to learn how to walk in the world with peaceful steps, I would say.
And so also, Cindy, from what you're saying, it would also help us physically as well, because it probably, if we're able to calm down our mind, we're able to sleep better. We may feel more energy because we're not caught in that mindset. So we would have more energy to get outside and enjoy and experience things. It would take us away from maybe a bit of social anxiety fear, because then if you're somewhat at peace, so it has not only mental benefits, it also has actually physical benefits. Is that right?
Absolutely. In fact, the anxiety disorder that I suffer from has a lot of physical impacts. One of them is when I'm going through a panic attack, I find it very hard to breathe. A huge part of meditation is learning to breathe properly, deeply, slowly. We all know that when we're caught up in an emotion, if we take a deep breath, it can help us settle down almost immediately. Well, imagine breathing that way for 15, 20 minutes. It really helps you find that center, that peaceful center, and it helps bring mind and body together. Through our busy days, our minds are doing one thing when our bodies are doing another. We might be washing the dishes, but we're probably either making up a grocery list or having a fight with somebody in our heads. You know how we do that? We rehearse our fights and things like that. Meditation forces us to bring mind and body together in a way that helps everything calm down. Our bodies, our minds, our blood pressure, our breathing, everything becomes synced in the present moment when we're meditating.
And Cindy, do you think that everyone can learn how to meditate? Or is it something that you have to be, can a regular, ordinary, everyday person, which we all are, of course, but what I mean to say, you've practiced meditation, Cindy, for a long time, and you found that as one of the ways to help you with your anxiety. But what if a person who doesn't really know very much about meditation? Do you think that it's something that everybody is able to learn without a lot of training? And yeah.
Absolutely. I did take a number of courses on meditation, but in fact, my greatest help was a book, which I'm going to plug.
Okay.
Peace is Every Step,
Okay.
by a Vietnamese Buddhist monk. When I read that book, it was like drinking a glass of cold water on a hot day. It just was so refreshing, such a beautiful explanation of how to live your life in a way that reduces suffering for yourself and for everyone around you. And it just inspired me so much to get into regular practice. You know, even little children can learn to meditate. The Dalai Lama learned to meditate at 3 years of age. Now, he's kind of a special guy,
Yeah.
but still, even children can benefit from meditation. And the beauty of it is it doesn't take any special equipment. You don't have to buy a special cushion. You can sit on a chair. You can do walking meditation. All you need really is your body, your breath, and your mind. And I think we all have that. Starting out, it's probably a good idea to reduce as much as possible the distractions around us. So silence is good. Being alone if you can, but I meditate with animals, so
Your
sometimes
cats?
no distractions. But yeah, it's a very simple practice to start and very easy for anyone to latch on to. The one thing I will say is that sometimes people who have mental illness such as psychosis, schizophrenia, should probably not meditate because it could start a negative cycle in their thinking. But that would, that would be something to discuss with a doctor. Otherwise, it's wide open, I think, for just about anybody who'd like to learn.
So what would be a simple way for somebody to try meditation at home? Just
Um, One of the simplest forms of meditation is Zen meditation, which is basically simply bringing your mind to your breath by counting your breaths. So you would sit in a quiet place, make sure that you're well balanced in your body, put your feet firmly on the floor, or if you want to sit in a lotus position, make sure your back is very straight so you can breathe deeply. And what you do is you simply count your breaths. And you don't have to change the way you're breathing consciously. That will happen naturally as you get into it. But you would just count, breathing in 1, breathing out 1, breathing in 2, breathing out 2. And just every time your mind starts to wander and you start making the grocery list or think about what you have to do next, just gently bring yourself back to the counting. When I first started meditation, I was in a very bad place emotionally, and I couldn't even get to 10 without thinking, okay, where am I? I think I was at 3, and having to bring myself back. But it's that constant bringing back to the breath and the focus that strengthens that part of us, which is in contact with the peace and the joy. That is, some people call it the observer. Deepak Chopra calls it the wizard. That's the part of us that can help us gain perspective on our emotions and on our anxieties and so on our stories that we tell ourselves. That's the part that becomes strengthened as we meditate. So you're not failing if you're not keeping focus. What's happening is that observer is getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And that's it. It's as simple as that, really.
Well, Cindy, you know meditation. Really, I've been around meditation a bit, but you can tell you're an experienced person, that you have a lot of, I think that you have a lot to share as well. And I think that more and more of us who don't have a practice like you do, which we should, of course, but we're not there yet. But I think that you've inspired us all to kind of maybe think more about that. And that book seems to be interesting as well.
It's fantastic. And there's some other tremendous resources, if I could just name a few.
Yeah.
There's a lot of resources online. I do encourage people to make sure they use good resources, proven teachers, people like John Kabat-Zinn, Deepak Chopra, Thich Nhat Hanh, the person who wrote this book. These are people with deep, serious knowledge of meditation and who've got the background and the training to really teach it properly. So there's a lot online that you can find. The Calm app also, I use it once in a while in the evenings before bed. It has some very nice meditations too. I would say that starting out, people shouldn't try to do more than 5 or 10 minutes because if they try to stick with it longer than that, they may become frustrated and give up. And that's the last thing you want people
Yeah.
to do. When I started, as I said, it was hard for me to count to 10. And I just started with very short sessions, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, then 5. At the end of the first week, I was probably at 10 minutes. Now I can go for hours. I have actually
Wow.
visited a Buddhist monastery where we had 3-hour sitting sessions 3 times a day.
Whoa. Well, we're
So
not there yet.
I'm not asking anyone to do that yet.
Nope, we're
It'll
not there
just
yet.
drive me crazy. But you know what? It's a wonderful way to really understand the beauty of the practice. Yeah.
Wow. Cindy, thank you so much for all of this and letting us into your beautiful home. I see the woodwork behind you and the plant and that. Cindy, seriously, thank you very much for sharing your knowledge and inspiring us to look into that more. I know there's so much more that there is to learn. And may we all find our way to feeling that kind of relaxation, that peace, and doing a little bit more breath work as well.
Mhm.
Thank you so much, Cindy, for your time, because I know you're a busy lady. And for all of you out there, thank you so much for, excuse me, but I think my cat is going to jump here and try to jump on my computer. You see, these are very much informal chats. Sorry about that, guys. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us on our chat. And I'll hope you come back and find us again another time where we bring another interesting person into our series of chats. And another thing before we go, let's all get out there and enjoy this beautiful place that we call home here on the Gaspé Coast. And also, let's look after each other. Until next time, bye for now. Thanks again, Cindy. Bye.